I am so sorry. I've been talking away. I just realized I'm muted. Well, welcome to Africa Rise with Susan West, everyone who joins us on this program. It is another beautiful day. And like I said, until the 1st of October, we will be having a daily broadcast on Nigeria at 60. So please, as you join this broadcast, share this broadcast, create watch parties, invite your friends and family and community to join us. And of course, as you do so, remember to send in your contributions, comments, questions, and so on. And of course, also a reminder, if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do so. It is underscore Susan West. If you haven't liked and followed us on Facebook, it is also underscore Susan West. And on Instagram, underscore Susan West. Please join us. Today, we will be talking with beautiful, sophisticated, intelligent women, Nigerian women in the diaspora on the continent. We will be talking Nigeria at 60. We want to rub minds. We want to analyze if Nigeria was a person or were a person, would you call her wise or foolish? And so, without taking too much of your time, I will go ahead and begin to introduce my guests. Hello, Dr. Lovett. Please unmute yourself. You're muted. You're muted.
Yeah. Can you hear me now, Sue?
Do well. Yes, do well to introduce yourself because there's so much to you. I cannot do very well talking about what you do and all your certificates. Yes, go ahead.
All right. Thanks so much for having me here, Sue. Like you said, I'm Dr. Lovett, a bioresource technologist and a medical researcher here in the Republic of Ireland, Dublin, to be precise.
Right.
I'm also a part-time lecturer in University College Dublin School of Medicine, and also a part-time lecturer with Institute of Anti-Racism and Black Studies here in Ireland. Thank you.
Wow, that is sophistication. I'm gonna bring next Mrs. Lola Adekanye. Hello, Lola. Please unmute yourself and introduce yourself.
Hi, Susan, and hello, viewers and co-panelists. My name is Lola Adekanye. Thank you for having me here. It's always exciting to talk about development on the continent and in Africa's most populous country. I am an attorney by profession, but by calling, some people like to call me an activist. I don't think I am. I relocated to Nigeria a few years ago, and I lead the Africa programs at the Center for International Private Enterprise, essentially working on anti-corruption and governance issues. Before I started working on this, I barely had any gray hair, but I now have more gray hair working on anti-corruption and governance issues in the 2 years. So I'm excited. I'm excited to be here and have a very exciting conversation about development in Nigeria and on the continent.
You're welcome. And next, I will be bringing on my sister Ebiere Joseph-Akwunwa. Unmute yourself, please.
Yeah.
Please go ahead.
Hi,
and
Susan.
Introduce yourself. Hi, introduce yourself.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much for having me on Africa Rise with Susan. It's a pleasure. And I'm sure we'll have the best of time, talking about Nigeria. Yes. My name is Ebiere Joseph-Akwunwa, and I'm an entrepreneur, a public relations practitioner, and I'm owner Tasteful Plate South Africa. Tasteful Plate is a Nigerian food delivery service where I manage and I use it as a platform to promote the proudly Nigerian food brand. And that's it. Thank you.
Absolutely. We have one more person, but she's yet to turn up on my system. So in a moment, I will make sure that I do a full introduction of her when she is here. But at this point, I'm just going to acknowledge Glory Grace Shannon, early riser today. Welcome. She says, wonderful. Yes. So, in earnest, I will go ahead and begin to, introduce our topic of discussion today. And of course, the topic of discussion is if Nigeria were a person, would you call her wise or foolish? I will start with I'm going to start with Mrs. Lola Adekanye.
Now, I think that's a tricky question because I don't think anyone is foolish, but I think they do foolish things. The problem is or any group of people, the problem is when you do foolish things for a long time and you repeat them, then the question begs, well, what's going on? So if Nigeria, I think what I'll say about Nigeria is we failed too many times on too many fronts. We failed to take advantage of the opportunities to strengthen the unity across our very diverse, homogeneous nation. Unfortunate incidents like civil wars have given us the opportunity to go back and say, we can't let this happen. Let's strengthen the bond and prevent the risk of insecurity in the future along tribal, religious lines. And we often failed to make the best decision. Now, we've not had an example. It's not like we've done this before. We've not had Nigeria live up to 60 before, so it's new to us. But I think where we are really failing, and I hope that we try to be wise here, is in the fact that we're giving the youth no role models to look up to, no ideals to live up to, and no hope that the future will be better. And I think that's where we're really failing. Right. If we can't turn that around, then we stand the risk of our children telling us a few years down the line that we are really foolish. But I wouldn't say Nigeria is foolish just yet. I'll say we are at the crossroads, and what we do now determines whether our children will tell us we are foolish a few years from now.
Right. According to you, that would will give the backing for your children to say whether you're wise or foolish. How about us? What about the older generation? I mean, Nigeria is 60. So I want to hear your thoughts. So far, so good. Why would you judge her wise or foolish so far? And then you give us a chance to get to the point where our children will judge us wise or foolish.
Certainly not wise, but with a lot of potential to do less foolish things.
Okay, all right. We'll continue. Let me just quickly bring Sister Deborah Abbey. Welcome to Africa Rise. Please just do a quick introduction of yourself.
Hello, everybody. Hello, universe. Beautiful ladies I see here. What an honor and a privilege to be in your midst. Thank you, Susan, for being an amazing host. I just want to say thank you for having me on your show. My name is Deborah. Dane is an Ijaw name for peace. It means peace. Abbey is also my last name. I am originally from, all of us are probably from the same country. Except Ohotu is from this country. So I'm from River State. I'm an Ijaw woman from River State, and I live in the United States right now. I also am a motivational speaker, and I go by the outfit Diamond Abbey Speaks. I have two wonderful children, a teenager, 18-year-old, and another 15-year-old. I'm a single mother of those two kids, and I take care of them. I just believe that when I meet women like you who are of substance and want change, it brings about the light to the universe. So it's a pleasure to be here, Susan. Thank you for having me on the call.
Thank you. Thank you. That was a fantastic introduction. So the next person I want to react to Today's topic is Dr. Lovett. Dr. Lovett, please.
Yeah, thank you, Susan. Before I go into the topic proper, I'd like to look at the definition of wise and foolish. According to the Cambridge Dictionary, wise is defined as having or showing the ability to make good judgments based on a deep understanding and experience of life. While foolish is the opposite, lacking good sense or judgment. So if Nigeria were a person based on this definition, I will term Nigeria to be foolish.
Absolutely.
I agree with Lola saying that she wouldn't see Nigeria as foolish, but Nigeria has put up some foolish acts.
Yeah.
But if I go by this definition, Nigeria, it's point blank foolish. Nigeria has been, we are celebrating 60 years. So 60 years of having that wisdom, 60 years of having good judgment, 60 years of having beautiful experience of life. And all that we see in Nigeria is just excuse. So if Nigeria was a person and I was to look at Nigeria, I'll say Nigeria is foolish. Now, if we look at all that we have, Nigeria is blessed. We have a lot to talk about Nigeria being blessed. But have we utilized these resources, these things that have made Nigeria blessed to the fullest? No. It takes wisdom to put all those things into place. Now, if Nigeria hasn't put all this into place or utilizing them well, then Nigeria is foolish. That's my take.
Dr. Lovett, I almost called you professor. Anyway, lecturer Lovett says Nigeria, based on these definitions of what foolish and wise is, Nigeria is foolish because she just fits into what the definition of foolishness encompasses. So, sorry, I'm not trying to be disrespectful to my country, but that's the truth and reality. So, I'm just going to go quickly to Sister Ebiere. Please react.
Okay. If Nigeria was a woman, would you judge her to be wise or foolish?
A person, not woman, please. A person. Not
a person. Okay. Thank you, Susan. I'm glad we're talking about being wise and being foolish at 60. For me, I need a framework to talk about this, or to decide or to add my voice if Nigeria was wise or foolish. And in order for me to do this, I've decided to, just get a clue from the story of the virgins in the Bible. Of course, we all know the story as Bible scholars. 5 were foolish and 5 were wise. Now, they were all virgins. They all had their lamps. They all went out for the banquet to wait for the bridegroom. But how come 5 were foolish and 5 of them were wise? Looking at the scenario, I want to bring it down to the discussion today. Look at Africa as a continent and the countries in Africa, per se. It's like we all have the same opportunities, like the virgins, equal opportunities to be the best you can, to be outstanding, to go out there and excel. So, why then were some foolish? They were because they didn't do certain things. And these are some of the things that we see play out in present day Nigeria. Well, I won't say Nigeria per se. I won't take a stand if Nigeria is foolish or wise. But I'll just use this as a basis for whatever I'm going to say here on this platform. Susan, I'm not going to say that so that people don't quote me out of context tomorrow and put pepper and salt and Maggi and say the things I didn't say. Okay. So, what happened? The wise virgins, they took an extra oil in their lamps. They went with something extra. The foolish didn't. what do we see today? For example, there's COVID-19. It's affecting the whole world. There's a global lockdown. What are we seeing today? There are countries in this lockdown that are doing exploits, even in the lockdown. We hear it on the news. They are doing things. And there are countries that are just there staying and waiting for COVID to be finished so that they'll go about, their normal lives. That is having the equal opportunity we're talking about, or being affected with the same kind of thing. And then someone else is making something good out of it while the other person is not. Okay? Now, the virgins were foolish because they didn't have a plan B. They didn't do justice. They didn't carry out a research. They didn't go for knowledge. They didn't do something extra that they would have done. And so when the day came, when the bridegroom came, they were nowhere to be found. And what did they do? They went to the wise ones to say, give us some of what you have. And they told them, they said, no, we can't. This is not possible. Go buy yours. Go, they are still selling. And then when they went in search of the oil, the bridegroom came and they missed the banquet. What am I saying? It's the same thing playing out here today. What do? We blame everybody for not taking responsibility for the things we're supposed to be responsible for. What do? We blame the government, we blame the churches, our spiritual leaders, we blame everything, but we don't blame us. What do? We blame ethnicity, tribalism, what have you, politicians, without taking responsibility, without saying, look, guys, I'm also part of the problem. Look at the children yesterday. By the way, Susan, thank you very much. You did justice. It was fantastic listening to them. It was amazing. One of them said something. He said, the challenge is this. Write out 60 things you would want to do for Nigeria, not what Nigeria would do for you. That's a challenge. That's what we're talking about. So what do? We take responsibility. We say, guys, yes, this is the point. We've missed it here. This is the time to wake up and do things, make up for the losses. So for me, I can't say at this point if Nigeria is foolish or if Nigeria is wise. But I can say that we've taken bad decisions, just like the virgins. One of the children yesterday said something. She said, Nigeria has made bad decisions. And one of them said, at 60, Nigeria still has a long way to go. So that means there is hope. That means we've taken bad decisions, just like the virgins. We didn't do our homework. And I see that playing out in present day Nigeria. Everybody wants to blame somebody. Everybody wants to look for a way out. If that's going to be the alternative, if that is going to work. But what we're enjoying today, Susan, this platform, is because there's a Nigeria. When that Nigeria is no more there tomorrow, what we're enjoying here today, we would not have the opportunity to enjoy that. What am I saying? Our diversity is actually our strength. It is not what divides us. So, what do? If today I'm a business person and I sell 5,000 sachets of pure water in a place like Lagos, you know why I'll be able to sell 5,000 in a day? It is because of the diversity factor, the population factor that I'm enjoying. If you take that away, when we all go our ways or something else happens, I won't enjoy that number I'm enjoying. Wow. Today, we want our various republics and all that. It's nice. You know why? Because there's Nigeria. When Nigeria is no more there, those things might not make sense anymore. And you know what? We're looking at 60 today. It's like 60 is mature enough. What is the problem? When we go back to start from the basics again, 60 more years would be spent again trying to develop another system where we have the same set of, politicians and all of those people that have stacked money somewhere, waiting to unleash their venoms again in a new system. So for me, yes.
I'm gonna come back to you because I know you have plenty to say, but I'm just gonna quickly tackle the time and everyone else. So yes, you said so much, but I'm gonna come back to you. Let me allow Sister Deborah to react to Nigeria.
Nigeria is an amazing country, and it will always be the pride of Africa. I have so many African friends that wished they were Nigeria or were Nigerian. In fact, we have the best of the best. I'm going to go back to the Bible like my darling sister Ebiere did. I'll go to the book of Matthew, chapter 7 and 1. And right there is the shortest phrase in the entire Bible. And it says, judge not. Therefore, I will not judge. And I will try in this presentation not to judge anybody. Just like my other Lola said, it is back to us. Ebiere said it is back to us. Nigeria has made mistakes, yes. The problem is Nigeria willing to face the mistakes that they've made? That is correcting the errors of the past and forging on to the future. Any country you live in, Nigeria, especially us in the diaspora, Nigeria is the best. Nigerians are the best and are at their top in every field you can think of, including the tea-free too. So we have the best doctors, the best lawyers, the best engineers, the best flight attendants, the best, and even the best thieves. That is to tell you how smart and beautiful and amazing we are. Maybe it's in the hot pepper that we eat. I don't know. But Nigeria is amazing. It is time for us to have talks like this so we can come back to the drawing table. 60 years is the beginning right now. Before, when I was growing up, they're like, oh, 40 was the main. Right now, check us out at 60. We are hot like pepper. It's the beginning. We can start over again. We need to take responsibility. We need to have talks like we're having right now. We need to go back and educate those young ones. You see, for me, I saw Nigeria in the 70s, in the 80s, and I know what Nigeria was when I left. But right now, the kids who are there, the younger ones, the youth and all, they have no clue of what the Nigeria could have been. I went to a primary school where it was a melting pot. Hausas, Yorubas, Igbos, Indians, whites, Hispanics, they were in that primary school in the 70s. And that was the Nigeria that I knew. There was street life. There was everything. There was no time that there was no NEPA. Where did we go wrong? Whatever we've done to get ourselves to where we are right now, this is the time for us to continue the talks. The government, let them continue to thief the money. We need to rise up and speak like we're doing right now, discuss these issues, and allow the younger ones to understand that there is hope in them and they are our future. Is Nigeria wise or is it foolish? I cannot tell because I refuse to judge. But now is the time for us to come back to the drawing book. Now is the time for us to plan. Now is the time for us to set in whatever area we are in the universe. It's time for us to get back to our language, our culture, our traditions. It's time for us to teach our norms and our ethics. Right now, if somebody does something, you slap the person, the mother will come and beat you. We never did that. If I did something wrong when I was small, my teacher will flog me. The principal will flog me. When I come home, in fact, on my way, let my auntie or uncle not hear that I did that thing because the flogging will be out there first. Then when I come home, when I get home, it is even pepper. What do we do now? When we're sick before, we go to our herbs. We drink agbo. You use a razor blade and scrape your skin. If you have ringworm, they put some leaves. What do we use now? We use what we've been taught to use. We've left everything that is us. We've left it and we've taken on the people that we are not. Why won't we be inferior? We need to come back to our power. We need to come back to self. We need to come back to who we really are, which is wonderful people, the best of the best in the universe, bar none. Thank you, Madam Susan.
Oh, absolutely. Well, you know what? Everyone have spoken well. Everyone have spoken absolutely well. But I stand and I'm thinking one of the reasons some of us are struggling with defining Nigeria as foolish, even though we cannot say she has been wise because she hasn't, is also because of the kind of upbringing that we have, the kind of society we grew up in. Isn't it high time that we call a spade a spade? You're either foolish or wise. Your decisions, your actions, and the results that come from those actions will define whether it was wise or foolish. And from every step Nigeria has taken, everything Nigeria has done for the past 60 years shows only signs of foolishness. And that's why we are where we are at today. Even as a Christian, I understand that I can speak in faith what I want to see. But this is not one of those times when we just want to say what we want to see. This is a time where the Bible says, spare the rod and spoil the child. And as it applies to Nigeria, we will flog Nigeria, even if we have to do it with our mouth to get her shaped up again. So I apologize if I'm not one agree or not, one of the people afraid to call Nigeria foolish because she has been foolish. Yeah. We have foolish elders in our midst in every society. We're not afraid to call them foolish. That's not judging them. That's just the truth, And so, moving on, Mrs. Lola Adekanye. Mrs. Lola Adekanye, can you hear me? Right. So,
I can hear you. Yes.
Coming from your own perspective of not being able to call her wise or foolish and standing somewhere in the middle, how do you think, with this sort of inability to define where Nigeria finds herself, how do you think we're going to be able to profile real solutions? Because we are unable, we're struggling to call a spade a spade.
So here's the thing. You make this is an excellent conversation, Susan. And first of all, I want to commend you because what we're saying we need to be doing in Nigeria to have change is what you've started to do. Starting to have meaningful dialogue like this, candid conversations, which I host with a friend. This is where it starts, right? But we need to take it from here. We need to take it from talk to action, and I'll come to that. But let me tell you why I don't want to call Nigeria foolish yet, because it's not only because of our upbringing. You're right. Our upbringing can sabotage us in the sense that because we are so respectful, we're not calling a spade a spade. It's kind of like what, the international community, the dilemma we're in that the international community has put us in. If you look at Africa, they talk about Nigeria as, a stable democracy. Nigeria is far from a democracy. Far from a democracy, right? We have successive elections, that's true. But every year, every election year during the transition, we are holding our breath because we don't know if there's going to be 500 people dead this time or 200 people dead every year. And so the year where we had few people, little bloodshed, we are celebrating the last president because, so we're not really yet that kind of democracy where you'll say the media is free. No, not really, right? We don't have dialogue when there are critical issues, when there are marginally, actors in the economy who are not considered, people in the informal sector, 2.6 million people are in IDPs, they haven't been resettled. We're not talking about those. We can't really say that we cater to the Nigerian citizen in the way that we want to, or in the way that we should be doing. So when it comes to saying Nigeria is foolish, the reason why I don't say that is not because I'm afraid to call a spade a spade. In fact, I think that has been our downfall, not doing that enough. So I'm really not in that group. But why I why I'm careful to say that is because it would be like painting everyone with a broad stroke. I relocated from the United States to live in Nigeria because I felt like there's not so much I can do. This is personal, right? There's not so much I can do given my I'm a lawyer and I work in the international development world. And I worked with the World Bank, I worked with an NGO in the US. And in that capacity, I am several degrees removed from where I want to see impact. I work on Africa issues, African public policy issues, and I'm not able to track impact as closely as I would like from living in Virginia, in the US. And so moving back helps me because I'm able to live the experience of the beneficiaries of the program that I lead. I'm on Third Mainland Bridge driving to work. I get the traffic situation. I live in Lekki. The drainage is horrible. I get it, right? I can see firsthand what our challenges are. I see the children on the streets begging, who really could be president of Nigeria and do an excellent job like President Barack Obama did in the US, but Nigeria has not given them those opportunities, right? So that keeps me grounded. That keeps me going. It's frustrating to see the challenges firsthand, but that keeps me going. And why I don't want to call Nigeria foolish is because I'm careful not to condemn the hard work of people like you, everybody on this call, myself, my colleagues in the development space, people who are out there trying to make sure our election systems work. I'm trying not to condemn the hard work and the passion that they have for this country to just offer them an opportunity for them to change the country, for them to do things. There are so many Nigerians, even in the public sector, who are trying to do things right, but they are frustrated every day by the failures of the majority who decide that their pockets should be full at the expense of the poor child on the street who has not eaten for the whole day. Nigeria has 60% of people who cannot afford food every day, believe it or not. The people who beg for food on the roads or for alms on the road, they don't beg because they want to have $500 in an account. No, they're begging because when you give them 200 naira, which is less than 50 cents, they will use that to eat that day, and they're begging for the next meal. They can't afford to buy clothes, right? And so those people, if they had an education, they will vote for a better president. But the country has weaponized poverty, and so they can't vote for a better life. So when I say Nigeria is foolish, I'm saying they are foolish too. But no, it's not their fault. If they knew better, they might do better. And so that's why I'm careful to say Nigeria is foolish, because in spite of Nigeria's many failures, we've managed to stay away from a terrible genocidal type of war, which is really where we are headed. There's such a huge division across tribal lines in Nigeria that it's amazing that we haven't gone the path of Rwanda in the 90s, unfortunately, right? And that's because there's still a few level-headed Nigerians in the system. And I'm careful not to lump them with the ones who are the reason why we would say Nigeria is foolish, because there are still a lot of good wise men and women and children.
For the sake of the good people, for the sake of the genuine, just the saints, the few saints that we have in the Nigerian society, my sister Lola struggles to call Nigeria foolish. And on those grounds, I agree, because I am a genuine Nigerian who have stayed on the path of straight and narrow. And so putting everyone in one basket, of course, is not so fair. But in this question, we're talking about Nigeria as a majority, not because every single person is probably the same, I'm going to take a little bit of read. I've got Jumbo says, wow, great to see all my fine people here. Yes. And I've got Joseph Rollins says, hi, greetings from the United States of America, Tuscaloosa, Alabama. I wish you all the best. We will be nothing anywhere on the planet if it weren't for Nigeria and the entire Akabulan African continent. Yes, absolutely. We will be nothing. We understand. And that's the reason we have to make sure that if if one stitch is still in time enough for Nigeria, we could probably bring the entire sew the entire fabric together again. If we don't speak about these things, if we don't call them out, the people in positions of authority, the way things are going, there will be no Nigeria in a few years. And Nsibo Langa says, we need to step back and ask if Nigeria is the only African country experiencing problems. Well, Nigeria is not the only African country experiencing problem, but Nigeria is turning 60 and her independence is in anniversary is in a few days. And so all about Nigeria right now on the program. So Tito Akpeti says, it appears as if Nigeria is a contraction. National consciousness is theoretical, not practical. In the real sense, we appear to celebrate our ethnic lines more. Dr. Lovett.
Thanks again, Susan, and thanks to our lovely panelists. I still stand by what I said, going by my definition again. And you know, when we talk about, I've listened to the other panelists and they are kind of shying away from calling Nigeria what Nigeria is. And when we're talking about it, like Susan said, we're not talking about a minor few. We are talking about a majority. We're talking about Nigeria as a whole, the majority part of Nigeria. So if you look at coming from, and I know that Sister Deborah said something about the past, Nigeria in the 70s. If you look at Nigeria in the 70s, Nigeria did well in the 70s. How about now? What can we say about Nigeria for today? In 1972, I remember, Deborah, I'm also from River State. I remember that we had the palm oil industry in River State, Nigeria. In 1972, I read that the Singapore came to Nigeria to take palm seedlings, which they cultivated in Singapore, to produce their palm oil industry. Today, Singapore has the highest palm oil industry in the world. They got their seedlings, from Nigeria. What is the problem with our oil palm industry today? Rhizome palm, which used to be really big in the 70s and in the 80s. What can we say about rhizome palm today? What can we say about our palm oil industry today? It's completely dead. Now Nigeria started well when they got their independence. But what has happened now? We're talking about Nigeria of today. I look at Nigeria as a fertile land that is good for cultivation. And what did the owner do? The owners allowed people to come in to dump refuse on this fertile land. And when it was time for harvest, instead of harvesting good crops, they went ahead to harvest, to grow weeds. That's what is happening in our Nigeria today. If you also look at Nigeria as a bundle of missed opportunities and misplaced mismanagement of our resources. Nigeria, if you look at Nigeria is blessed with 34 natural solid resources. And these natural solid resources have been seen in 450 locations in Nigeria. Out of these resources, only 5% of these resources have been mined. 95 has not been mined. Nigeria is blessed. I've heard Lola talk about poverty in Nigeria. Should we be talking about poverty in Nigeria today? A country that is blessed with natural solid resource minerals. Should we be talking about poverty in Nigeria today? When we look at all that we have in Nigeria, with all this, Nigeria is in debt of almost $31 billion. How can we look at it and say that Nigeria is not acting foolish? If we are blessed, take our crude oil, for example. Now Nigeria has crude oil. They export crude oil to get to import the finished products of crude oil. Do you know that crude oil has over 17 products after it's been refined? We do not have refineries in Nigeria. In the 70s and in the 80s, we had refineries. But today, we do not have any functional refinery in Nigeria. And you say Nigeria is wise? Nigeria isn't acting wise. Nigeria is acting very foolish. For you to export your crude oil that will give you more than 17 products just to export, or to export crude oil that will give you over 17 products just to import 3 or 4 products. And they are being sold at very high rates. Nigeria is not acting wise. Nigeria is acting very, very foolish. You look at our airports. Anybody that travels will understand that the airports leaves a first lasting impression on the visitors or even the nationals. What happens to our Nigerian airports? It's a write-off. When you come into our airports, you from the international, like I fly to Nigeria and I look at Nigeria. The moment I come into the airport, I am downcast. I don't know where to start from. I'm looking at where I'm flying in from to Nigeria, a country that has everything to make her great, a country that has everything to make her rich. And you come into this country and I'll almost be in tears. Nigeria isn't acting wise. Nigeria is acting very, very foolish. Look at and you know, when we talk about Nigeria, a lot of people want to look at the Nigerians in diaspora. We are doing so much, we are doing marvelously well in diaspora. A lot of people left Nigeria to practice. I, for one, practice in the Western world. Why? Because we do not have the platform to practice. You're not given that platform to showcase yourself very well because of some selfish individuals placed in different sectors. But when you look at that, Nigerians in diaspora they're doing very, very well. Why can't we go back home? Because of the challenges. Illiteracy rate is going high in Nigeria. If you look at Nigeria, the illiteracy rate is 31.9% for a country that has called itself a giant of Africa. That's not being wise. That's all in the line of foolishness. Education in the past used to be really good. I went to a state school. I attended actually Incredible Memorial Girls School. It was one of the best. Today, people can talk about state schools. Okay, we're looking at this pandemic. During this pandemic, children in private schools were attending their classes, but children in the state schools couldn't attend classes. They were giving lectures, the classes online to those in private schools, while those in our state schools were just at home for the past 6-7 months. They haven't studied. Will you call this a wise country? No, this is all pointing towards being foolish. Now, at the end of the day, I know that last month, the SS3 students sat for their senior WAEC, even the JS3 students. How do you expect these two students to perform well? Students from the private school and students from the public schools. These students from the private schools, they've been studying. They had their classes online, while those in the state schools and public schools did not have their classes. And they went back for just two or 3 weeks prior to their exams.
Dr. Lovett, yes, Dr. Lovett, we're going to come back to you. Yeah, I know what you're saying, because Dr. Lovett and I went to secondary school the same time. So basically, we were in the same class. So I know we went to state school, but we had great education that we could compete with any private school children anywhere. You know, I went to Port Harcourt Primary School. It was the best primary school at the time. Before you could get yourself into that primary school, sometimes people thought that your father had or your parents had to be well connected, because it was a struggle. And I know that Sister Deborah and Sister Ebiere, I think, all went to PHPS. So I know what you're talking about. I'm just going to take a little read again. David Philip Barango, I see you. Peter Salami says, no matter what we say and do, if the Northerners are not involved, is like all is water being poured into baskets. You guys need to carry them along and engage the right minds into it. Well, this is not a state matter. So whether we carry Northern people on this platform, if I could find someone from the North who could come here and speak, of course I would bring them, but it's not a state matter. It is not where we're trying to find the balance. What we're trying to find the balance is in government offices and positions of authority, where equity and justice and fairness is what we want. I'm going to take Another read from here. Helen D. had sent in something I wanted to read, and I agree with her because I wanted to mention that before she typed it. She said, just to piggyback from the last speaker before Dr. Lovett, the only reason why there is no war yet is because of the fear of the last war, the Biafran War. Absolutely. When I can't remember when we talked about war and stuff. That I think one of the reasons why Nigeria is we seem to look like we're cowardly people is because we've experienced war in the lifetime of our parents. And so nobody wants war. All we're asking for is equity and justice. And if it looks as though without war, it cannot come, we don't know what else to do. But I'm going to take another read quickly from Judge Jumbo. It's extremely good that we are creating forums of research to discuss and deliberate on all our debilitating and retrogressive issues. However, if we need to make a positive difference in this regard, we have to start now to discuss on how we can actually make Nigeria great again. And he goes on to say Nigeria and Nigerians in general need to do more for education, health, security, and agriculture. Again, he says, let's talk about how we can implement action policies that would improve our education, health, security, and agriculture sector. Our mindset is so misplaced. The truth is that Nigeria is indeed acting and behaving very foolish. And Grace Shannon says, okay, I'm going to come back to that. So, Sister Ebiere. Sister Ebiere, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. I'm here. Okay.
Right. So, because I know that you're a Bible scholar. So, in practical ways, in practical terms, how are we going to hold accountable the people in public places if we refuse to hit the nail on the head because we are too conditioned or too respectful as a people to speak to people who are in positions of authority or a little older than us, and so we are always walking on on needles when we want to call a spade on issues concerning Nigeria?
Well, using the framework that I started with, the 5 virgins and the foolish virgins, it doesn't mean that I'm not trying to call a spade what it is. It simply means that we keep complaining and talking about what the problems are. And that's, the part of the bad decisions. That's part of the foolish part of, the Nigerianness. Now, what's the way forward? What's the way forward? I think we've talked enough. We know what the problems are. What is the way forward? First things first, for me, I think we need to take responsibility. And that is what we're not doing. This blame thing. And that is why we're living in kind of something that looks like a mirage. We're thinking that if we go our various ways, for example, it would be better. That we're being stifled and it's not happening because somebody somewhere is doing something. There's somebody cheating us somewhere. But Susan, you know what? I tell you, we've heard of Nigerians who come together in certain, countries in the diaspora. And even our small Nigerian organizations that we put together, for some reasons, they split. For some reasons, they have their small pockets of, all these kinds of, associations and organizations. Now, if the main issue is if I go, for example, it will be better, or if we create something new, then that's the way out. It would show in those organizations. But when they create these new ones, the problem is still there. What then does that mean? I think that means that we're not dealing with the issue from the root, from the foundation. So we have a foundational problem with Nigeria. And that foundational problem is because Nigeria has never been good. You see, these good old days, it was never good. If the foundation was right, what we're going through today would not be going through it. You know, so I started on a platform to say, look here, there's a wise part of Nigeria and there's a foolish part of Nigeria. That's the truth. If we need to say it the way it is, you know, so we can't all together say Nigeria is foolish and Nigeria is wise. And it's playing out in Nigerians. That is why you see very intelligent Nigerians. In the same Nigeria, you see contrast. You know, you see contradictions everywhere because of the mixture of wisdom and foolishness at work. You know, so for me, in order for us to have a clear cut, you know, on what we want for Nigeria, ma'am, we need to discuss, just as we're doing here, as all of us have, you know, mentioned in one way or the other. We need to speak out. People need to talk. You know, people can say, okay, it's not talking. What do we do? Talking is part of it. It's awareness. People need to know what is happening. They need to know that, yes, there's a problem, but it's not always what we think. Do you understand? Yes. There are things going on in Nigeria now, for example, that it's not a problem at all because it's going on. Everybody, you know, within the clique is getting one thing or the other. But as soon as somebody's selfish interest is not being protected anymore, it becomes a tribal thing. It becomes a North-South thing. It becomes, you know, APC, PDP, or whatever thing. It becomes a religious thing, Muslim, Christian, whatever they want to call it. But while they're benefiting, the allowances and all of those things, it is,
we don't do any of those things.
It's good.
Wait. Now we have a few more minutes because I don't want us to go on for too long. So let's wrap our minds around. I have the most intelligent women sitting here and having this discussion with. So what are the solutions to Nigeria's problems? If we could proffer solutions, I'm going to start with Lola. If we could proffer solutions to how to get Nigeria to a place where we can begin to right the wrongs, what would that be, or where would that be?
I'll speak broadly, and then I'll speak about what we can do personally in our little small spaces. Generally, I think, and you know, Ebiere started to touch on that. Deborah also touched on that. Love it when you did a country tour. At the center of what you were saying was really this thing that's missing, and it's historic with Nigeria. I think we have we've lost our value system. As a people, prior to, you know, the amalgamation and creation of Nigeria as a political entity, we had different belief systems, and it was on those belief systems that there were values that were passed on, and people lived on them. So, you know, the Yoruba had its own mythology and philosophy, respect, we tell the truth and all that, respect strangers, you know, and the Igbos had theirs, and the Edos, the Ijaws, different tribes had theirs, right? And then when we were created, when we became a country, there was something that looked like a general value system that we kind of knew. Be truthful, remember the name of family from where you come from, don't steal, don't do this and all that. So we had some values, but we never cultivated a national value system that was for every Nigerian, regardless of tribe or religion or whatever. And so no Nigerian feels like they own Nigeria or Nigeria owns them. Ownership in the sense of protection, responsibility for. No Nigerian citizen, hardly any Nigerian citizen would feel proud enough to show your Nigerian passport at the airport if you could show a red or blue passport. Let's even make it that blunt, right? How much more, you know, to die for Nigeria, right? We have soldiers who do that, but frankly, if you see the squalor in which they live in, you would wonder why do they do that for Nigeria? And Nigeria does not reciprocate. We forget to pay their pensions. We don't give their children good education. They don't have healthcare if they get sick on the battlefield, except their senior officers, right? So there is no national identity, a sense of national unity, sense of a value system that is, you know, like when you say the American dream, you know, we don't know what the Nigerian dream is, because the Nigerian dream really, for many people, is sleeping on the streets and going without food. For many people, it's not being able to afford healthcare, right? So when you think about all of that is tied to our value system. And when you think about it, I don't think any of us here, you hear the Nigerian anthem and you have goosebumps, knowing that if you're stuck in some country, your Nigeria will come and save you. We will fight before they went to save Nigerians in Libya. I hear the American anthem and I have goosebumps. I'm like, when did that start, right? And you think about it, it's really, it drills down to the core issue of a value system. And let me simplify this value system. Having lived in Nigeria as an adult for at least 3 years now, and in different times in my life as a grown person, there's only one thing that the majority of Nigerians appreciate, unfortunately, and that's power, influence that is tied to money or some position. Unfortunately, when the chips are down, it's about how much you have. And it's so sad that even the poorest Nigerians weigh how rich other people are to determine how they treat other people without even realizing that you are a poor man, you also are a victim of that kind of mentality. And we reinforced that throughout our system. Even in the educational system, parents will say, can't you see that person's son buying Jeep for them? Where did he get the money from? No dignity in labor anymore. The son may be selling fruits under the hot sun and wiping the fruits, dusting it more than anybody else in the market. But that other person doing 419 is a more respectable son than you selling fruit. We've lost that basic value. And it's a dirty system because there are layers of that, right? So what can we do as individuals, we in our own selves, we at our level? I think, first of all, we just have to start at our own basic level, rebuild the value system. There's a lot of lies even in our religious houses. Fix that shit. Fix it. There are a lot of lies. There's a lot of respect of money. Even, I'm sorry, can you say that? Can you swear? Can you swear? Even in those places where they shouldn't happen, we need to be able to tell it as it is, even in those places where they shouldn't happen. So in our private spaces, we need to do that. But in addition to that, I think we need to, at this point, realize that we need to start holding those people who are closest to us accountable and not point to Buhari every time. Start holding your local government chairman accountable. That local government chairman is taking a lot of money from the federal coffers that is not going to the village. You don't need his money. You don't need the money from your local government. You don't. But the children in your local government need to go to public schools. If they don't go to public schools, it's only a matter of time. Boko Haram or the equivalent of Boko Haram will give them arms. And they will be the thugs for the next election. So that local government chairman, he doesn't know how to use Zoom. COVID-19 has forced him to use Zoom. He should tell you how he spends There is a project, and I'll end here. There's a project called Follow the Money. It's run by Connected Development. There are lots of CSOs doing excellent work in Nigeria. Track them. We have a conference coming up at my organization. It's the Africa Business Ethics Conference. We host it in one African country every year. I'll keep you posted, Susan, so feel free to put this out. I would advise people to listen in because civil society organizations do all this great work, which means you don't have to do the legwork. Just piggy bank on what they're doing. They have a project called Follow the Money. What do? They take the budget of your local government, state government, and they drill it down to the last tap that your local government chairman was supposed to make sure that money was spent on. Follow through to see, did he spend it on that? And if he did not, then see how you can support Connected Development or any other civil society organization in your local government to hold those people accountable. Holding Buhari accountable is a cop-out for us. It's a lazy activist's work because you just, like Barack Obama was saying, you rant on your social media, Facebook, you insult Buhari, and you're like, yeah, I've done my civic duty for the year, and then you go. That's just that's not good enough. So drill down to the people who are the closest to you. They are the ones you overlook, and hold them accountable. Hold your pastors accountable. Hold your friends in public sector accountable. Your NEPA office, if they have a generator, hold them accountable. Why do you have a generator? Stay in darkness if you can't fix or if you can't advocate for the power system in the country to be fixed. I'll leave it there.
Absolutely. Hold them accountable. I mean, holding them accountable doesn't always mean that you wait and the person at the federal level is not from your village, not your ethnic group member, not your either a Christian or Muslim. And so it's so easy for you to point finger at that person. Just the other day, we had them reveal how the monies sent to NDDC was siphoned. And instead of people from the Niger Delta to get up and hold this man who says he's fainting to really account for the people who we gave those monies to. But no, they won't do that. It's so easy for us to point to Buhari. But like you said, absolutely true. It's so easy to call calling kettle black outside. Inside the house, we should start by holding these people accountable. And what Lola said, that the people that you have this opportunity now, you have this information now. I'm going to put that information out later on, where if you have a local government chairman and you know that there is monies that have been apportioned or some kind of money for some kind of project, you must make sure that if that person, regardless of where he comes from, if he doesn't use that money judiciously, that you report, because no one is even going to know it's you who did the reporting anyway. So please, these are the steps we have to take now to hold these people accountable and not just shouting on Facebook and cussing each other out. Quickly, Dr. Lovett, solutions.
Okay. Adding to what Lola said about accountability, yes, we need to hold everyone accountable. I also throw in vision. What is the vision for Nigeria? No nation develops without a vision. Now, when I talk about vision, I'm not talking about just the presidential vision, even to the grassroots, the councillors, the local government chairman, the House of Assembly members, the governor, the House of Rep members. What is the vision? As a leader, they must have a vision in place for the citizens to follow. If we don't have the visions, then accountability can come in. What are we going to account for without a vision? So when we have this vision in place, okay, let's take Dubai, for instance. That's, will I call it a nation or a country? It's a vision of one single person. He put out that vision and then make sure people were accountable. So we must have a vision in place for people to be accountable to. We cannot just say, yes, we want to put up accountability without a vision. Nigeria should state her vision down to the grassroots. The councillors, when they are being elected, let them come up with their vision for people to run with. Without a vision, a nation, a community, a state cannot grow. So my contribution will be, let the leaders come up with their visions. When they come up with these visions, we look at these visions and we say, yes, this vision is good. And then you have put people in place to follow this vision. Then
absolutely, we can only hold them accountable if we actually have a vision, like we have a goal. We know this is where we want to go. And so with that, we know what to hold them accountable for. But the problem also, I would just quickly put this in. Until we elect people who have eyes and minds that work, that can imagine, that can have a vision. You don't put people in positions of authority and expect them to have vision where they themselves are blind. They are blind, like physically, mentally, spiritually blind. They don't know where they're going. So maybe we start from a place where we only allow people who have the capacity to visualize, who have the capacity to bring about, to help us see, because those people who are supposed to be holding these offices are supposed to be people who are technocrats in certain ways, that they help us imagine, they open our minds to imagine, they open up our minds to see things we as ordinary people cannot see. And that's the reason why not all of us are equipped to be able to run for public offices. And so until we begin to put those sort of people in positions like that, allowing such people to hold public offices like that, then we can then say to them, this, your goal and your vision, this is what the reason why we're supporting you. And so we want to see come to fruition. But we cannot keep putting blind and mindless people in places of authority and expect them to have some kind of miracle happening, because their mind is not going to automatically start working because they are there if it wasn't working before. Okay, Sister Debbie, please go ahead and tell us solutions. Solutions is what we want. Solutions.
Solution starts with self. First of all, I want to shout out to all the PHPS people, because I know they're logging in right now. Hold high the torch. I want to salute all the ACMGS girls, and I want to say Fidelis and Minimis as well. I just want to salute everybody out there that I'm following on Facebook right now. Solutions to this is self. It begins with self. First of all, do you know who you are? When you say independent, I ask, independent from what or who or how? We're still not independent if we want to look at that. That should be another topic. Independent from whom? We are detached. We are people that we are not. We copy religions or carried on religions that is not ours. We've carried on degrees that do not do anything for us. So bottom line is, for me, I feel the solution is we need to come back to investigating self. I believe that everybody in this world just wants one thing: love and respect. In fact, there's a song that Bob Marley sings, and it says, to be loved, to love and to be loved is the only thing that anybody in this world wants. Everybody wants to be loved. Well, when we're talking about love and respect, I go back to the Bible again. I'm not a Bible student, and I'm not really crazy about Christianity. Trust me. It's a great book. Bottom line is, it says, love your neighbor as yourself. So if you love your neighbor the way you love yourself, the way you take care of yourself with your makeup, your food, the next person, you treat the person the same way, then we will not have a problem. Really. I feel we need to start to teach self-education, self-realization, self-examination. Everybody needs to take a self-inventory of themselves first before we talk about a country that we've all been jammed into to be one. I love Nigeria more than anything else. I am sick and tired of being in America. If you would give, if I could stay in Nigeria without anybody killing me, without anybody stealing from me, without anybody trying to cheat me and not being straightforward, without people, if I could, I would be there. But the only reason I'm here is comfort. But what is comfort? What you call comfort when you're not even recognized here? It begins with us. Know yourself. Know that you are not your degree. Know that you are not the big house or the big car or just what Lola said. People define themselves based on what they have, material possessions. The minute you realize that you are a spiritual being, second to none, and you can do and have anything in the world, and that is taught to you. It's not taught anywhere in any school, self-realization. It's not. They teach us the math, the English. Nobody teaches you self-education. Nobody teaches you how to marry a husband. Nobody tells you how to live in the society. There's nothing like that. Comes back to our norms and our values. We must come back to respecting our elders. Now you see an old person, you don't even stand up so that the person can sit down. So where are we going with this? Self. Back to self. Knowing who we are and beginning to operate or show up in the universe as who we really are. And really what we are is love. All we are is love. If I love Nigeria, then I would not. I was in an airplane. Let me say this. I was in an airplane. I was traveling from America to Port Harcourt, and I stopped by in France. The trip from America to France was okay. From France to Nigeria, it was okay. Only I saw people that would eat and throw their food on the floor. I'm like, can you pick up behind yourself? That shows self-respect. in my view, and again, I may be wrong, it comes back to us. If everybody will clean their corner, if everybody will toot their horn and show love and respect, not for just themselves, for their family, their community, their state, their country, we will not be where we are. And we must teach this, is my view. We must teach this to every last person, because we've forgotten. Some of us, the older people, we've forgotten. So this, I believe, my solution to this is taking not just responsibility. It's not doing all the things that Lola or Ebiere or Miss Oho had said, Dr. Oho has said, or what you've said. I believe that we need to learn to truly love our neighbor as ourselves and treat everybody the same. The same. That's it.
Absolutely. Self. We have to love ourselves. We have to respect ourselves. And, you know, they say, when you said fidelis in minimis, of course, we know what, for people who went to ACMGS, you know what fidelis in minimis means. It means faithfulness in little things in Latin. It means that when you cultivate habits, whether nobody is looking, you have these habits. You respect yourself. The little things like trashing your environment, on the road, not picking. These are the things that end up showing up in massive, big ways where we begin to struggle as a society, because we don't care. If you care and respect for your next neighbor and for yourself, these are the little things we will do. Self. And of course, so far, so good. We've talked about value, value system, self. And let me bring Sister Ebiere. Sister Ebiere, quickly, please go ahead and give us proper your solutions for Nigeria's problem in a few minutes.
Lovett said something about, she said something about, what was it now? What did she call it? About vision. She said something about vision. Now, when we talk about vision, you know, I started by saying, you know, there was foolishness somewhere because people didn't have a plan B.
Yeah.
You know, they didn't make arrangement for the rainy day. And if we talk about vision, we can't talk about vision without talking about a structure. So fundamentally, I think we lack that workable, that structure that works, you know, in Nigeria. And in order for us to have a structure that would work for us, we need to come back to the drawing board. You know, every stakeholder of the entity called Nigeria has to come together, sit down. This running away, people don't want to discuss. Nobody wants to touch constitution, electoral reforms. No. We have to. You know, so for me, there has to be a structure that is working. There has to be a structure. And that structure would be the vision. You know, the vision has to be centered around that structure. The structure that will fit in from the presidency to the grassroots, all levels of government, all arms of government. That is what I think, you know, we should do. And then around that structure, we should be truthful to ourselves and take responsibility. There's one thing to say and talk. There's one thing to do and implement. And there's another thing to punish those who would not do, you know. But unfortunately, I look at the judiciary today, and that's supposed to be like the only arm of government that is supposed to come to the rescue of Nigerians, you know. But unfortunately, somehow, there's a bit of compromise. So the only arm of government that is supposed to stand, defend the constitution, and make sure that things are done, they're all politicians. They're all there doing one thing or the other with politicians, you know. So Susan, really, you know, we need to come back. There's hope for Nigeria. There's hope for Nigeria. And then, like the children said yesterday, 60 years, you know, we still have a long way to go. And we need to put that, you know, at the back of our minds. Some of these countries we're in today, you know, in the diaspora, they didn't just, you know, come out from the blues. We're here in South Africa today, for example. People fought for this country. People stood for what they believed in. People died. And we're here, some of us are, comparing Nigeria to, no, there's no basis for comparison. That's not how we compare things. When you've not sacrificed, when you've not been able to build a structure, a form for yourself that would work for you, then there's no basis for comparison. So we need to go back to the drawing board. One of the children said yesterday again, I will take a clue from there again, that Nigeria first. That's what's there. We've heard the phrase America first, Americans first. So we should begin to think Nigeria, and Nigerians first. So that's the way I say it.
Wow.
Responsibility, build a structure, and let's be sincere to ourselves. People need to talk. People need to dialogue. Biafra war, civil war. People need to forgive themselves. We need to move on. Thank you very much.
We need to move on. And as a people, when we talk, we know that we know what the solution to the problems of Nigeria is when we do have conversations. When it comes to practicality, is where we have challenges. Because of course, there is no selflessness. Right now, in my opinion, Nigeria needs a leader that is going to, Nigeria needs to be blessed with a leader, a bold, brave leader, selfless leader, a leader who can say that selfless to the point where you decide and say, regardless of whose ox is gored, I will deal with anybody who goes against what's expected in any positions of authority they hold. For instance, when Buhari was going to come and take over the reins, one of the things even the people who didn't want to vote him into office, had a little bit of faith, because they thought in the 80s when he was there, he was, he was a disciplinarian, someone who would make us sit up. Nigeria is an indisciplined society. Nigeria needs a leader. I want to call Jerry Rawlings, former president of Ghana. If it means we have gotten to that point, if we still want to see a Nigeria tomorrow, we need a leader who will say, regardless whether you're my friend, my brother, same party, I will jail you. I will lock you up. If you cannot account for certain monies that have been given to you, you will be locked up. In fact, your entire village, if they're all part of the robbery, will be locked up. Because I'm in London, I'm in England here. There is not one single human being, regardless of where you come from, that don't obey rules of society here. Why? Because there are consequences when you don't. And these consequences are regardless of whether you're white, black, pink, or red. If you see the traffic light says red, in fact, you don't even try to run through if you think it's going to turn red whilst you're going through, because no one is going to talk to you. You're just going to find tickets mailed to you. You're going to pay some money. So when you begin to when we have leaders who are in place, who are brave and bold and selfless, and not just there to steal, then we can begin to come up with all these ideas we have discussed here. Yes, Lola, I can see you. Go ahead.
I think it's very ambitious, and we tried. This is what you do to ladies, to tell us to prefer solutions to Nigeria's problems in a few minutes. It's very difficult to do that, but we tried. We did an excellent job, and we're hitting the nail on the head. I think you're making a fantastic point, Susan, and putting all of this together. And there's just one thing I want to add to that, and that's the reality of the situation. To get that kind of leader you're talking about, Jerry Rawlings didn't go through the regular channels, right? To get that kind of leader you are talking about, if you go through the Nigerian electoral process, you would certainly be stained. We have an example of that kind of leader in office right now. And unfortunately, he can't play ball. And so he's just there. But we know that he's an upright man. But he's a figurehead now, because there's a corrupt oligarchy in the Nigerian governmental systems, right? But we can actually get a leader who will game the system and get there. And when he gets there, he will be outnumbered. He'll be outnumbered by the corrupt civil servants. It's a civil service that should save a country like Nigeria. from the corruption that we experience, because the appointed and elected officers, they are there for a period of time and they don't often know how to loot. If you remember the off your mic situation, the lady who was asking the drilling down in the questions, she was not there for long enough to know how to loot. She hadn't been there for long enough for civil servants to teach her how to loot, right? And so the gentleman was saying, Madam, you don't know, because when I was new like you, I also did not know about this corrupt scheme. And the other one who was there for long enough for civil servants to teach him how to loot was saying, well, off your mic, we don't tell us what we don't want to open up in this forum. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, Susan can share the link later, I hope. But the point is, we have a civil service that is that has lost the nobility and integrity of what a civil service should be. If any of you ever received a scholarship from Nigeria, my mom would tell me about the scholarship she received. They paid every dime of what her scholarship was to ABU. But today, Nigerian students will be stranded and they won't send their scholarship money. They'll be stranded and begging. Ethiopia, the person who was owed their pensions for 20 years, they were looking for her to pay and they couldn't find her. So they sent this money to her grandchild. This is Ethiopia here. You won't call Ethiopia a fully advanced country, but they still hold on to those values and systems in their civil service system. Our civil service is broken. And I would say, if you find a leader who can game the system, gaming the system means he will have to be corrupt to get there in Nigeria. That's just the way it's designed. They've created several barriers so that that kind of leader you're talking about cannot rise without paying his dues, his corrupt dues, so that when he gets there, he's shackled to the corrupt system. But we can find that leader. We have a few in some states. You know what states I'm talking about in Nigeria. We have a few. And they got there, they broke off with their godfathers. We need more of those. Those kinds of governors, support them and hold them accountable. When you support them, don't let them get away with feeling like, you know, let's indirectly talk of a few, you know, or your state here, maybe possibly Edo State, you know. But if we find a president, what I would say the president should do, the one who games the system and means well for Nigeria, what I would say he should do first is he should restore the nobility and the integrity of the civil service in Nigeria. If he can do that, or she can do that, possibly a she would more likely be able to do that than a he, but who knows? If that president can restore the institutions of Nigeria, we have hope, because it's the institutions that would say just a bit. How can a whistleblower be shouting that you have spent monies in the NDDC, for example, or wherever, and calling names, and nobody is being investigated? You're not questioning anybody. One of the people who was on the panel investigating the loot himself was wanted by the ICPC, saying, if you see him anywhere, please tell us where he is. I just try careful not to call names, but if you watch the ICPC probe, you would see what I'm talking about. And not the ICPC probe, sorry, the Senate probe of the NDDC loot, which now the auditors are going to investigate with almost half the amount that was looted. But hey, it's Nigeria. But the point is, if we need that person who will game the system, if we don't, then I don't like the alternative of getting a president in there who would not game the system. But if we get a president there, they should restore the integrity and the nobility of the civil service. And if they can do that, let our civil servants not feel like Nigeria is doing them a favor. Let them remember that our taxes pay their salaries and their pensions.
Absolutely. You know, the civil service is almost like a cult. I have never been a civil servant, but I have experienced working closely with the civil service in Nigeria. So it's almost, they have a systematic way of frustrating anything. So maybe when they start making examples of those people in the civil service, point still is consequences. When every action have consequences. If you do good, we promote you, we sing your praise, we make the world know, we celebrate you. And once you do bad, we shame you, we send you to jail, regardless of who you are. Then and then alone, we begin to see people not wanting to associate themselves with anything that is shady and criminal. Well, we have talked and talked. I'm just going to take quick reads through the comments that have been sent in. Helen D says, we have a lot of mental health issues due to trauma and poverty in Nigeria. How can we go about solving these issues? That's Helen D. Upong. I remember he sent this in when Sister Debbie was speaking, and he said, "So it's time to come home and join hands to build the country we so desire." Like you said, Debbie, it starts with you. Good point tonight. And Helen says again, we don't need tough leaders. We need leaders with compassion and love. Absolutely. And Sibo Langa Eke said the formula for a good Nigeria includes all of Africa and breaking away from Western democracy systems and institutions. Absolutely. Absolutely. Until we're able. Yesterday, when I had the children, my son was on the program, and he did mention that Nigeria is self-sustainable. Nigeria is self-sustainable, which means that truly Nigeria doesn't need anything, no kind of aid. We have the manpower, we have the brain power, we have the natural resources. If we want to, really, if we really mean well for our country, we can do these things. But it's hard to get yourself away from all these foreign powers when you're corrupt, because they always have something. There's so much cockroaches in your cupboard. They always use it to tie as a noose around your neck to make sure that you do their biddings. So Idongesit says, yes, Helen, to me, these manifestations are the product of recent mismanagement of diversity and socio-economic development of our country. Old fault lines that were disappearing have opened up in greater fixtures and with drums of hatred, disintegration and separation, and accompanying choruses being heard loud and clear almost everywhere. Right now, some section wants their own entity. What are we doing here? In addition, it would appear that anybody not dancing to the drum beats nor joining in chorus singing would be earmarked or ethnically unpatriotic or enemy of its tribe or geographical area. In short, the country is fast moving to the precipice of, I pray God help us. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. Jumbo, I see you were really eaten into our time. And I just want to say a very big thank you. I see Sister Debbie is disappeared from here. I want to say a big thank you to Sister Ebiere, Sister Lola, and Dr. Lovett. I love you all. Oh, yeah, you're here. Yes, Sister Debbie is here. Sister Debbie is still here. So thank you so very much for your time and your contributions. It was very, very jam-packed deliberation that we had. And I'm absolutely proud that I know people like you. Thank you for coming on Africa Rise.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for having us.
No problem. Okay, I will be closing today with just a gentle reminder to all of us to remember these things that the panelists have brought to, basically we have lost our value system. We have lost our value system. Everyone is pointing fingers at the next person. No one is taking responsibility. And until we begin to take responsibility for our actions as individuals, we cannot keep blaming other people for the problems that we face as a nation. And we have to elect into office visionary leaders, regardless of where they come from. And when we do that, there is an opportunity to hold them accountable, to make sure that when monies are assigned to community project, that they do use those monies judiciously. And if they don't, I will be forwarding out there the organization that Lola Adekanye spoke about. You will go there and whistle blow quietly and no one will know it is you. But then these people will come and make sure that the monies that have been given to this person is judiciously used. Thank you so very much for everyone who joined us. And God bless you. Tomorrow, I will be having Daily Farotimi. Is it Farotimi? Yes. So please, at 6 p.m. again tomorrow, join us. Tomorrow is the 30th of September. And so we're going to continue with the daily broadcast until the 1st of October, when we celebrate Nigeria's independence at 60. And so remember, if you haven't subscribed, please do so. _Susan West on YouTube. Like and follow us on Facebook, _Susan West. On Instagram, the same. I have thoroughly enjoyed today's broadcast, and I hope to see you again tomorrow, same time. Remember to invite your friends. Bye-bye.
I'm not sure I understood that.